Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Two for Talking podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusick. I've got comedian Joe Bartnick alongside. You can check out his latest tour dates at joebartnick.com. And as always, I have the great Josh Yohe with The Athletic. Boys, the opening week for the Penguins was conflicting. I wrote about it on twofortalking.com that I'd never felt this conflicted before. And I want them to win, but I don't feel like they're going to win. And I was excited to see these new guys. And then they come out and they look great. And then they kind of turn the tide on Saturday. So I'm sitting here wondering, Josh, which team is the real team? Is it the team that showed all the warts in their defensive zone on Saturday, or the team that got us all excited with the 2-0
gentlemen,
start?
I suspect the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's just the way it is. I don't think they're as good as those first two games, as fun as they were. But if you go back and look at Saturday's game against the Rangers, they actually outplayed the Rangers the first 25 minutes. They weren't bad in that game. They really collapsed in the last 35 minutes or so for whatever reason. So the truth is we'll find out a lot more about this team on the California swing starting tomorrow night against the Duckies. I still feel pretty encouraged by what I've seen. Like, I think they've exceeded expectations so far. And more than anything, they're just fun, Joe. Like we're kind of all enthused about what we've seen, I think.
Josh, it was just such an incredible atmosphere at the arena on Thursday. I mean, remember we ran in, you came down to visit me, and I was sitting with, Pittsburgh royalty, Alex and the owners of Danny's, and, they loved me and you on the podcast, and they it was just good times all around. And, what can you say? We went to New York and won. I thought that was a miracle. But then we came back and we backed it up on Thursday. Saturday was a little bit of a debacle that we can get into. But the first two games have to make. If you had told me we were going to be 2-1, hey, I'll take it.
I'll take that every day.
And they were 2-1 without an even strength point from Sid, and Sid didn't have a great game on Saturday against the Rangers. And we've seen this from him the last couple of years. If there are any signs of age, sometimes he starts seasons a little slowly, even though he had a good game against the Islanders. But they're getting offense from a lot of different places. They're getting goals from teenagers on two different nights. Gino's line has obviously been good. So, yeah, I'm curious to see where this team goes from here. I suspect Tristan Jarry will get the start. Maybe we could start with the goaltending for a second. Shilov's had the great game in New York to start the season. Wasn't very good against the Rangers in the other game. But when you look at the middle game, the Islanders game, Jarry gave up 3 goals. Okay. If you look at the body of work, though, I thought he was good in that game, Joe. Like, I thought when he had to be good, he was really good. And that's where he struggles when the game's on the line. And to his credit, we saw him really show some guts, I thought, at the end of that game, and I think he earned himself another start.
Josh, I say the same thing. Shilov's maybe was tested 2 or 3 times. Jarry was tested probably 10 times. And he did give up a complete softie right in front of us. But then he made 5 or 6 10-bell saves. And he really played a strong game. And you know what's funny, Josh, about that game? It was like the last 10 seconds was so much more dramatic than it had, you would think, with all Dan Music coaching and everything they've learned from him. You would have thought maybe we could just, have a puck go in the corner and, just the tanks lays on it and it's over. No, they have to get 2 great scores. You must have been going nuts in the press box.
Dubas just walked past. I was going to try to get him to come make his initial appearance on Two for Talking. He looked like he was busy, so I just let it go. He did give a wave, however. If we could get him to come over later, we'll see what we can do. You never know. All the stars are here in California.
Josh, if he's sending down a Chari right now and bringing back Corbin, I'll be very happy. Don't stand in his way. I mean, I don't know. I think the biggest positive, well, 2 huge positives, but I think one has to be that Gino now has line mates. In 5 points in the first 2 games. I mean, Mantha looked fast, but Brazeau, who knew Brazeau had silky mitts?
I love those hands in front of the net. And I mean, like we talked about all summer, that's what Gino needed.
That's what jumped out to me about Brazeau. I mean, no, he's not the fastest guy in the world. We know that. But when you're that size, like if you got a pair of hands that can play, and I know it's a very small sample size, But if you look at his history, Joe, this is a guy who scored 61 goals his last season in junior. Like, you don't do that by accident. I understand that was junior hockey, but there are a lot of good NHL players, a lot of good ones, who never score 61 goals in junior hockey in one season. This is a guy who does have a good pair of hands. And Gino, one of my favorite things about Gino, like, he's adaptable. He can play with any style of player. You want to put him with Carl Hagelin or Peter Sikora, James Neal, all different style players. He can make it work. And he knows how to play with big fellas. And it's been 3 games, but you have to be impressed with the big boy line and what it's done.
I'm impressed by just how Gino's been shot out of a cannon. Even, what was it, we were down 4-1, and he dove to keep a puck in on the power play. I'm like, you don't see that in May, usually, from Gino. I mean, I thought that was great. Now, the other thing, there's a million things I want to talk to you about. That's what's so great about talking to you every week, is, Koivunen got sent down. We didn't think he played particularly well. I think it totally helped Tommy Novak's game. I thought Novak was one of the 3 best players on the ice on Saturday night. Looked like he knew he should be next. If somehow you send Koivunen down, Novak has to know he's on thin ice. But you made the point of, if he's not going to play in the top 6, well, then where's he going to play? Well, then where is he going to play?
Oh.
Is he? I mean, because I don't want to break up Gino's line.
I mean, for now, they're going to keep it together. I mean, if they're going to keep playing like this, now we all know somebody's going to get hurt at some point, or somebody's going to hit a slump. That's the way it goes. But I don't see why you would break up the top line with Crosby and Russ and Rakell. We know how effective that line is. They weren't very good the other night, but I think part of that is, Rusty's been out for a couple of weeks now. They just needed a little bit of time. They probably have a good practice today here in Anaheim, and that will help matter significantly. So you can't really break up those 2, I don't think, or those 3. And the second line has been outstanding. So Koivunen is going to be back up here at some point. We know that. I think one of the biggest reasons he was sent down, guys, was because he didn't have to clear waivers. That was very simple. They have a lot of guys on this team who do, and then you have to figure out what you're going to do with Ben Kindle. If you keep him all season, or if you send him back to juniors. A week ago, I would have said he's definitely going back to juniors. But the more I see him play and the more I hear things, I don't know. He's pretty good. I mean,
it's a Kindle is by far in the top 3 forwards that we have so far this season.
I mean,
great. He's been fantastic. And then you wonder, right? When you see Noel Acciari lose the draw, then what are you here for? If you're going to lose the draw on the penalty kill, then I think we can bring Tristan Brose, or I think we can bring back Ville Koivunen. Someone can play 4th line center. I'm pretty sure they can lose a draw.
Josh, I was going to actually say, whenever you tweeted that out, who can go, who's going to clear waivers? And I was like, I don't care. If there's some people I'd send down, I'd gladly let them get picked up off of waivers, I mean, I get it. Koivunen needs to season a little bit, but yeah,
let's talk about Ben Kindle for a second. Here's my favorite thing about him. Like, we saw the goal he scored, which looked like a Phil Kessel goal, first of all. Not just because he wore number 81. It literally looked like a Phil Kessel goal. So he's got this hockey IQ. He's obviously got this really high skill level. The thing about him, though, like, other than Jordan Staal, I've never seen an 18-year-old forward at this level who is so good defensively. Like, you watch him in his own zone, he is always in the right spot. He wins faceoffs. He's just so defensively responsible and well-schooled. This is a rare trait for a player that age. And I'm not saying they should keep him up or they shouldn't. I mean, you could make an argument for either. But every day he impresses me more. This kid's something else, Joe.
Yeah, Josh. Well, I mean, he's one of our 3 or 4 best forwards this season. I mean, so why would you send him down? Like, he's obviously just going to dominate juniors. I mean, I can see if he's going to go play at Penn State,
right,
or something, and maybe get, but if he's going to just go get 5 points a night somewhere in Nova Scotia, what's the point?
No, you might be right.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
cynic in me will say, well, they want that darn top 5 pick, and he's not going to help if he's around. But I also don't think that's really the organizational attitude right now. You're trying to win hockey games still. That's the point. And he will help them win hockey games, I think. And the biggest argument I would make is, he's not a big kid. He's only 18. He's not really physically matured yet. Is he going to survive a whole season at the NHL level? I don't know. But the more I see him play, I can't deny how good he is and that he's ready for the NHL.
And Josh, don't you think that the better he plays, the easier it is for Sid to get over a Raquel trade?
I mean,
Yeah,
maybe,
that's a very good point.
maybe. And I also think just the happier Sid will be and the happier the veterans, the big three will be when you have not just an infusion of young players, but an infusion of good young players. You can bring up anybody from Wilkes-Barre. Oh, we got young players now, but if they're not any good, what's the point? This kid's the real deal. I mean, it's so obvious how gifted he is, and really nice kid too. He's fitted at the locker room. They like him. You can just tell everybody really has an affection for this kid. He works his butt off. He's got all the attributes you'd want. And I was just laughing as Kyle Dubas just walked by a minute ago, and everybody gave him so much shit for taking Ben Kindle with the 11th pick. And that,
Hey, I'm first
and
in
a lot
line
of
on
it
that
is
list.
because, like, I'm not out there scouting the OHL every night, but we see all the mock drafts, we read all the names. And so if it's not one of the top 10 or 15 names we've heard of, like, what's he thinking? Why would he do that? And I think we all fall into that sometimes because none of us has really seen these kids play that often except for a select few. But I know for a fact that Kyle and Wes Clark, who really runs the draft for the Penguins, they just fell in love with this kid. And it was mainly because of his brain. They just thought,
Well, once
they
his
thought he had an IQ like a Jake Gensel kind of hockey IQ, and not many people have that.
Yeah, and once he scored on Saturday, the algorithm on Twitter just flooded the timeline of former scouts talking. I don't know if you guys saw those. A handful of former scouts were like, Ben Kindle, hands down, one of the best players I ever scouted in my life. And it was a pretty unanimous. So I wasn't critical of the pick, but I wasn't like, oh my God, this kid's going to help us now. I love the way he played. I love his game, and he doesn't look like an 18-year-old. That's the weirdest part. So what about the other teenager in the lineup, Harrison Brunick? I mean, I like Joe. I can't, or Josh, I don't want to say what you said because it's a family-friendly program, but you said he's an effing stud in a reply when I said, "Oh my God." He's the real deal, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's here, right?
I think he might be. Joe was in the house for Harrison's first NHL goal, in fact, the other night. And I mean, every time the kid touches the puck, you feel like something's about to happen. Like, he's going to make his mistakes. He's a 19-year-old defenseman, and we've seen that a couple. Sometimes he takes chances he shouldn't take, and he's going to have to learn in the NHL. You can't hold on to the puck forever. These guys are a little faster, that kind of thing. But those are growing pains any defenseman is going to deal with when he breaks into the league. You watch this kid's skating ability, how big and strong he is, how smart he is when he jumps into the play. He already has better instincts than Carlson or Letang for jumping into the play. He really does. Like, he doesn't make mistakes. I'm blown away by him. I can't imagine he would go back down, Joe.
Josh, now I have 3 points. I'm going to get these out. For first of all, absolutely. But I thought Saturday was the first night that Carlson didn't look like amazing.
He's been good.
All-star Carlson. Yeah. Absolutely. Now I'm going to jump into my second point. You know who else was in the arena for the first Harrison Brunick goal? The big guy, Super Mario. I mean, if that was not just the greatest moment we've had since Jogger Night, I mean, absolute deafening roar. It was the best. And then you get to see Sid and Gino and Gino's kid with Mario, and your article about it was just fantastic. If you haven't seen the video, it makes everybody happy. I mean, as soon as you saw Mario, we had to win that game. Like, if they would have blown that lead, oh my God, I would have jumped off the bridge. Now, my third point about Brunicky, he does absolutely stand out, and he belongs. But Sam Carrick made a reference that, the Penguins could not handle the forecheck of the Rangers. I was so pleasantly surprised after game one, we chatted, Josh. And I'm like, the defense really held up. But it seemed like New York wasn't interested. So I was afraid of all those 6'5", 240-pound guys. Is it time to maybe look at Dumba and to look at, and to look at Clifton, because they are bigger, they're tougher. Maybe, Mr. Jones had a nice little run, but maybe we need some more studs in there, especially if
I think you're onto something there, Joe. And In fact, I know people who are going to be watching and listening to this will be later in the day on Monday. But as we are recording this, I'm about to watch Penguins practice here in Anaheim, and I am very curious to see if Matt Dumba finds himself in the top six. I can tell you right now, he was absolutely one of their 6 best defensemen in camp. He was their toughest defenseman in camp. And yeah, with Sam Carrick, I was there in the Rangers locker room the other night. He said we felt we could intimidate them on the forecheck. Those were his words. And you don't hear that one very often. Like, ooh, no one's gonna like the sounds of that very much. He wasn't trying to be a jerk. He was just being honest. Like, yeah, well, there's some guys we could take advantage there, and they certainly did on that night. So I think Dumba needs to play. If he's on the left side, so be it. He's played on the left side before. He's a professional. I think he can handle it. I'm curious to see how that would go, and I assume he'd be playing with Harrison Brunick, perhaps, if indeed that were the case. I don't know who would come out, or I'm not a big Caleb Jones fan. I haven't been really blown away by him. But the left side in general is a problem. We all know that. So, yeah, it's a matter of time before he gets in, and I kind of expect he'll play tomorrow night against the Ducks. I just think it's time.
I totally thought that Parker Wotherspoon played really well. I was very happy with his game, and I still am. I thought Caleb started out bad, then I thought he evened out and played pretty good, but I just think you got to play Dumba. Dumba's just a better defenseman, and he's bigger.
He is, and he can help you offensively, too. That's a guy who can shoot the puck. We saw that in the power play goal he scored in the preseason. He's not going to hurt you in that end of the ice. So I like Dumba a lot. I think he's the kind of veteran they could use. I know everybody, trust me, all my tweets I get from everyone, why are they playing old guys? Go young, go young, go young. I get it. You still need a couple of veterans in the lineup who've been around, who can, show the way a little bit. And Dumba is a really good guy, by the way. I mean, he just has all the attributes that you'd want. I'd love to see him play with Brunick. I'd like to see the veteran with the kid. I think that would be an interesting dynamic. And Joe, before we continue about this, I have to mention, since you brought up number 66, you said it, Joe. When he is around, when he is in the building, everybody is happy. I've never seen anything like it. I said to his lovely wife, Natalie, after the game, I said, Mrs. Lemieux, I got to tell you, all the fans, like, they're just so happy right now because your husband's here. Like, you got to do this more often. And she said, we do hear that on occasion. I said, I bet you do. Yeah, no kidding. He just has that presence about him. I think it was our good friend Mark Madden who tweeted like the king was in the castle on Thursday night, and it was. That's what it feels like when 66 is around. Everybody was in a good mood. It felt like the old days in that locker room for a few minutes. It was nice. It was really nice to see.
It really did. It was fantastic. And 2 points real quick. If you're at Anaheim, if you're at the Duck Pond, I hope you brought a winter coat. That is the coldest arena.
Yeah.
You could be in Edmonton and you're sweating compared
correct.
to in Anaheim. I mean, it makes the Ice Girls more on point, if you know what I mean. But it's cold in there. And the other thing, just about physicality, I was, of course, perusing the Wilkes-Barre Scranton roster in lines. I didn't see my guy. Is he technically injured? Because how is he a healthy scratch in Wilkes-Barre? Mr. Ibama.
Maybe he was. I don't know.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I didn't even look at the roster. All I saw was Urashov the other night.
He's unbelievable.
Joe always brings things back to Boko, which I appreciate. And we all know Boko should just be up here anyway, so it should be moot. But no, I don't know. He was banged up. He's been banged up off and on. But I'm sure he'll be in the lineup sooner rather than later for sure. No,
I didn't mean to Pearl Harbor.
We don't always plan
to quote the great
talk in advance. It's okay.
To quote the great Gorilla Monsoon, I didn't mean to Pearl Harbor you.
So where are we landing then on what is this team? Are they a lottery pick or are they a playoff team? I mean, I'm okay with either. Like, I really am. I just don't want to be an AC.
Here's the problem, Corey. I don't think they're either, and I think that might be the issue. I don't really think they're a playoff team, nor do I think they're as bad as some people think they are. You look at their forwards, Joe. I mean, look at these forwards. It's a pretty good forward lineup, and they've done it. They only had Russ for one game, and Koivu will be back up. Rucker McGroarty not in the lineup yet. Like, when they're healthy, they can go 4 deep and pretty good 4 lines, and they still have some star power as well. I'm not saying it's the best forward unit in the league. Sure as hell isn't the worst. I think they're still fairly good in that department. I still really don't like the blue line all that much, but I'm telling you that this is a better team on paper right now than I think people realize. But you don't want to be getting the 11th draft pick again this year. That's the problem. And I keep bringing up Kyle Dubas, not because he keeps walking back and forth, even though he does, but he's going to be on the spot here. It's going to be really interesting to see, at one point, does he end up trading somebody and making them worse because he doesn't want to end up in the middle? Or if they do say they're a point out of a playoff spot in January, does he do something to help them? Like, I don't have the answers, but it's going to be really interesting.
Well, I wrote in the Pro Hockey News, and it might be on the Two for Talking website.
It is, yep.
Thank you. That it's all up to Mr. Dubas. Because I think we are a very, very, very borderline playoff team. And especially the way we started, it comes down to, I think, three factors, gentlemen. Is he going to keep the Rakels and Carlsons? And we would never say this about Carlson 2 weeks ago, but Carlson played like this. If he's going to keep Rusty and Rakell around, I think they can sniff around the playoffs. If he brings up Murasov to play goaltender, we're going to be around the playoffs. It really comes to, are the young kids going to progress enough? Not just Kindle, but Koivunen, McGroarty. That's what's going to depend on it. Because if we stink, everyone's going to go. Maybe even one of the big three. But if we're good, everyone's going to stay. He's not going to break it up at the deadline, I don't think.
Probably not. I mean, who knows? I think some of that is based on how they play, quite honestly. But of all the things you said, Joe, and I agree with all of it, but the biggest thing to me is the goaltending. Like, I still don't think the goaltending is good. I realize Shelovs was good in game 1 and Jari was good in game 2. Is that really something that's going to continue? Do you trust those guys to be playoff caliber goaltenders? I don't, quite honestly, but Murashov stopped 23 at 24 in his first night in Wilkes-Barre, got the victory. Like, what if he's, 11-2 and at the end of November and he's got a .940 save percentage? Like, what do you do then? That's the question, because we all know there's a real chance the Penguins will take a leap when he does arrive in Pittsburgh, whenever that is.
Josh, right now, I will sign for ace seed swept by the Florida Panthers as Barkov comes back. I will take one home. I will take 2 home games, 2 losses. I will watch Barkov shake Sidney Crosby's hand and give Gino a big salute. Because that, to me, is a winning season. Our kids learn how to win. They're not going to learn how to win losing in the lottery.
Yeah, I do. I wonder, though. I mean, I look back on, do you guys remember in the 04 lockout? 03-04 lockout, and it was like February was the last drop dead date. There was like a drop dead date somewhere February, March, where they could squeeze in a short season. And Mario and I think Gretzky and some other dignitaries were up in the NHL offices. They were trying to get it through to the goal line. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, like we might make the playoffs in a shortened little season with Mario healthy and, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted a playoff series so bad. But looking back on it, if that happened, we don't have Sidney Crosby. Because if there's a season and the Penguins make the playoffs as the 7th or 8th seed. So I'm not saying, Josh or Joe, I love making the playoffs, but like, and I could never, I mean, Sid would never feel this way, and Sid's not supposed to feel this way. But like in the head of like Kyle Dubas, what's better for the long-term future of the franchise is to get somebody that's in that top 5. Because I think Brunik looks great. I think Ben Kindle looks good, but Ben Kindle's not a Sidney Crosby, but like, he could be a star on a good team. I don't know. I mean, I just don't want to get swept and then like lose out on an opportunity to get a great player.
I think wanting to be in the lottery is a loser mentality. And I think losing creeps in everywhere. Detroit, Todd McClellan just threw a fit the other night, and he goes, is everyone just here not sick of losing yet? It creeps in, and you can't get it out. And I want it eradicated now. And you know what? There was 2,000 empty seats at the home opener, but the 16,000 fans that were there loved every second of it. And do you think they'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm glad we lost, because now we have a higher chance of getting the lottery pick. No, people pay money to watch winning hockey teams. Even though Achari doesn't go out there to lose, he might not look like he's trying to win very hard, but he
I'm not.
wants. You know, I
Yeah, I'm
mean,
not saying the players want. Like I just, what
you got to win.
Well,
You got to win, Corey.
Listen,
It's about winning.
here's what I think on this. I think the players will dictate this in the next couple of months. Okay, if they go on a 4-15-1 skid in November and December, the whole being a lottery team, whatever, that will all be organic. You don't need to force a tank. But if they are playing well, like there is something to be said for developing that winning culture, because I know what Joe's saying and I don't disagree. Look at Chicago. Look at San Jose. They've been trying to be bad for so long. I don't think they know how to be good. And I do. Yeah.
Buffalo.
They're probably the best example. And I do think that's a real thing. But I also don't think you want to, get, like I said, you don't want the 11th draft pick every year. That doesn't really do it. So they need to decide at some point, okay, do we want to be good? Are we better than we realized? Or do we want to make some tough decisions? And you just got to pick a lane, as the kids say. And I think they will at some point, but I think the players deserve the right to go out and play for the first half of the season and certainly see what you have.
But don't you agree, Josh, though, that, I mean, that's why you agree with my point, and that's why I'm agreeing with your point. It really comes down to, I know Miroshov might not be Patrick Waugh, but let's just say it's Miroshov and Silovs, and Miroshov gets 80% of the starts. That makes us have much better goaltending. And that's a dubious decision. It's also a dubious decision where, like, okay, it's going to be, look at the package I can get for Rusty at Christmas when Nyes goes down.
No.
Then it's like, well, it's like that's the decision, because, like I said, I think they're going to be very close. Now, I'm not saying, hey, give up your next 2 number 1 draft picks and with whoever and Bros for whoever the defenseman is du jour. But I think I think staying the course is like,
well, and
out.
The nostalgia would be off the charts, but it would be special to see the big three in a playoff series one last time. It would. And I also think there would be benefits beyond just everybody feeling good seeing Gino in a playoff game again. I do think it would be a wonderful thing for Brunick and Kindle and whatever young kids are up by then to be a part of a run where they're trying to make the playoffs. Of course it would. But I still think we're a ways off from that. They look good in 2 games. That's great. Sometimes having a new coach and the adrenaline of a new season can be fool's gold as well. I'm not saying that's entirely the case. I suspect this team might be a little better than people think. But we still need to sit back, I think, and watch them play and see how they develop. And as for Miroshov, guys, like, I'd love to see him up now just because I know damn well he's their best goaltender and he's fun to watch. That is a different position, though. And he hasn't played a lot of professional hockey. He really hasn't in North America. I understand wanting him to stay in the AHL for a little while, develop some more. It's hard to develop at the NHL level. It's hard to work on things. It's a little easier. You can get away with that in Wilkes-Barre a little bit more. That is something to consider. I don't mind them not rushing him too much. I get it.
Josh, speaking of better than we thought, I think you were kind of dead on in your preseason analysis, but I think he might have jumped over the Tomasinos and the Novaks of the world. I like Hollander's game.
He's always at the right place at the right time, isn't he? Like, he's not the greatest skater. Yeah. He's not flashy, but he's big. He knows where to go. He thinks at a high level. He's already drawn a couple of penalties. He's an acquired taste. Like, the first few times I saw him play, I'm like, all right. Whereas, like, a guy like Tomasino, like, you see the talent, right, and the skating and the hands. Hallander, though, the more I pay attention to him, he's a really smart hockey player. He's like a typical Swede. He kind of plays with an edge. The Swedes always have that feistiness about them. They're always so smart. And that's him. Like, I'm not sold on him completely yet, but I'm starting to warm up to him. And I think he might have a real future. It's like a bottom 6 guy and a really good one. Like, the more I watch him, the more I like him.
Yeah, I would love to see him and Novak sticking. I've always been a Tomasino guy. I don't know, but then I guess McGrory plugs in on the third line. when he comes
Probably.
back.
Who
right?
knows? I mean, it's going to
Who
be
goes
so
down?
interchangeable all season. You're going to see McGroarty get some top 6 looks, I'm sure. Like they're going, because the lines aren't going to stay the same. We know that. It could be that Justin Brazeau might go the next 20 games without a goal. I mean, that could happen. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to keep up or not. But they have, I think they have more options than people think, and good options, and they're deeper.
I do agree with Corey though. Like, it made me chuckle in your article, Josh, when you said that. Well, at least Corbin and I can clear waivers. Nobody else can. It's like, wouldn't that just be like a little inner miracle if they did waive Achari and he did get picked up? Like, I mean, like I really don't see the downside of that, other than you have him more disgruntled, you know, in the locker room when he clears, or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it seemed like all of a sudden, like your big problem, one of your 2 or 3 or 4 biggest problems, is now gone, and you welcome
I won't say
Tristan Brose.
there are a
back
couple
to
of vets in the locker room who could be viewed as bad apples. He's really not one of them. He's a good guy. No,
I'm
I
not
just wanted to
saying
clear
that he's
that.
one. I'm just saying,
But yeah, I mean, he can't play. It's pretty obvious. The guy can't move. And I actually respect him. Jesus, he throws his body in front of pucks. Like, it could be a hand grenade. He wouldn't care. Like, he's one of those guys. But he's just not an NHL player anymore. That's really evident to me. Whereas I thought, I'm talking about the bottom 6, on a night when they weren't very good against the Rangers, I actually thought Blake Lizotte was good. Like, he was one of the guys that jumped out to me. I thought he really played hard, had a lot of energy, a lot of speed. And you mentioned Novak, Joe. I thought he was horrible the first 2 games. I thought he was soft. I think he stays to the outside way too often. That said, I liked his game more against the Rangers. He played like a guy who was looking over his shoulder a little bit, like, oh boy.
that's what I was saying, Josh.
I think he's been told, you might want to play a more complete brand of hockey. Like, we know for a fact that's why Barry Trotz didn't like him in Nashville. He wouldn't go to the net. He thought he was too much of a perimeter player. That's code word for soft. He's got talent. He's got a lot of talent. So I would love to see him, just stay healthy for a while. And let's see what he has. Better against the Rangers for sure. But that's it's such an interesting team. I don't think you're going to have the same lineup night in and night out, because a lot of these guys are interchangeable. And if I'm Dan Muse, I'm kind of working these guys against one another. Like, hey, you want to stay in the lineup? You better be good tonight, because this guy's breathing down your neck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, absolutely. And this is a point I may ask. Now, does this, I just said a half hour ago, I wouldn't break up the big line, but do you think he would play better with a Brazeau if he is a little intimidated or a little scared, like he wants to bring his dog? Do you think he would play better with someone that if he goes to the net hard, hey, well, at least Brazeau's going to stand, be standing there, and not maybe Tomasino and Hollander?
I mean, it is. And
Yeah.
They have a mesh of players that, they do have some size, especially if Dumba's in the lineup. There's just some toughness and some size that hasn't been here in the past, and it's a nice thing to see. But they still do have guys like Novak, who are definitely more of the skill variety. The tough thing for Novak, I mean, I know the game has changed, right? And third and fourth liners aren't just, tough guys like they have always been in the history of the sport. But Novak is still very much a top 6 style player. He just is. So if he's in your third line or in your fourth line, like, that's tough. Because I don't know that you're going to have guys there who necessarily have the skill set to play with him. But I don't know what you do with him. He's just kind of a wild card. And I've seen him, he's been out there in some shifts with Kindle, and I actually like those two together. Like, there's so much
I was
skill there.
going to say, Josh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, well, he has no excuses when he's playing with, my new nickname is Little Ben Kindle. We had Big Ben. Now we got Little Ben. I mean, I thought maybe that's why he looks so good when he's playing with Kindle. But I really like, I said at the top of the show, I really like Novak's game on Saturday. I thought he was kind of snake bit. And maybe if he wasn't playing the best goaltender out of the Cold War so far.
No, there was a sequence in the Islanders game when Dan Muse changed up his lines. And he actually put Hallander up on the top line and moved some things around. Koivunen played for a period. I know he's not up right now, but he played for a period with Kindle and with Novak, and they looked really good together, I thought. We saw some things. Like, that's just like strictly a talent line. Yeah. There's no size on that line. That was interesting. Remember, Novak only played a game and a half in Pittsburgh before he got hurt last year. They don't really know what they have in him yet. I still think now you've got a new coaching staff. I think it's kind of an exploratory phase. But they'll figure it out in time. He is an interesting talent. You would like to see them get the most out of him for sure.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a little bit more out of him. But the game and a half that we saw last year was really exciting. So it's ironic that Saturday he ended up looking good. Real quick before we get to Mr. Bill Neofus, when McGroarty comes back and Hayes comes back, who's getting bumped?
Ooh, boy, that's a really good question. So who's been bumped already? We've seen Koivunen come out of the lineup already. We've seen Tomasino come out of the lineup already. I can't think Achari will be too much longer for the lineup if he's not more effective. I know he's an okay penalty killer, but that's the first name that popped into mind. Like Connor Dewar's nothing special, but he's also like a fourth liner who knows how to play like a fourth liner. I think there's something to be said for that. So Achari would be my first guess, although I don't think Novak is a lock into the lineup either. Like he needs to be better. He's not guaranteed a spot for sure. And McGroarty, when he does come back, like I don't know what his role will be, or if they'll be kind of like, a little slow with him, easing him back into the lineup. He obviously didn't have a training camp. That's tough for a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be Hayes? It makes sense if Hayes comes in and Achari comes out, because then he can just play fourth line center. Because if somebody else comes out and you have Hayes and Achari, then I like Dewars, but man, Dewars, and I actually really like Dewars, but the rusty nail, like he's not a third liner. When you could put, Hollander or Kindle or anybody else that could on your third line.
Corey, I ignored the Kevin Hayes part of your question on purpose because I didn't want to think about it really. But I don't think Hayes and Achari need to be in the lineup together. Some of the fans are getting a little too. I think some of the fans want everybody on the ice to be 18 years old. Like you gotta be smart about it. But I also don't think those two eating up a ton of ice time, not just because they're old, it's not very good. Just makes the Penguins so slow when they're both in the lineup, especially if they're on two different lines. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, and I thought maybe, when you're at the practice facility, I wonder sometimes, I'm like, maybe that player in particular is walking by at the moment.
No,
you don't want to just be sitting there. Yeah, but okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about Mr. Bill Neofus for a second. I do want to ask you guys about, just Sully. We'll go through Sullivan's, reunion with the Penguins and everything. And then the week ahead, I want to look at the 3 games we have on the West Coast here. But first of all, Mr. Bill Neofus, if you just Google him, he's everywhere. And you got RV insurance, any kind of insurance. Josh, what did he think of the Penguins opening of the season?
He's pleased in general, and our sponsor's gone big time. As he texted me before the Rangers game the other night to let me know he was in a suite. Hey, this is all you need to know about what a good guy he is. He took all of his staff to a game, which is nice to begin with. But he didn't just get them tickets. He got a suite for them. So they were all in the luxury box watching the Penguins and Rangers. The spread of food was unbelievable, by the way. I've never sat in a luxury box, but let me tell you, the food is not second rate. Very impressive. So Bill was pleased. And for those who don't know by now, it's the Neofus Insurance Group. That's Neofes. The Neofus Insurance Group. Bill's everywhere. He's becoming a Pittsburgh celebrity before our very eyes, which is very nice to see. But he's as grounded, as humble as ever, I assure you. And as we talk about every week, no matter what your insurance needs are, you name it, auto insurance, home insurance, renter's insurance, pet insurance, it goes on and on and on. They will take care of you. It's the Neofus Insurance Group. There it is. I couldn't find the phone number for a second. 412-364-3388. I don't know how I don't have that memorized by now, but the Neofus Insurance Group, they're the best.
Yeah. That's why I Googled them, just in case to have the number there, because I know you're on the road. And I mean, God, RV insurance, you name it. He's got it all there. Yeah.
Thanks, Bill. And I want to wish Bill and everybody a happy Columbus Day. So it's our day, Paisans, even though Achari. Have a cold one, baby.
That explains
a day. God bless. God bless everybody.
There it is.
So we'll get into the Steelers in a minute because there's a lot to talk there. There's also a lot to talk about James Franklin in college football. But Mike Sullivan, I thought to myself watching the first game, boy, oh boy, does this team look like how the Penguins looked the last couple years. The Rangers did. And that wasn't, it's one game, so I wasn't burying Sully. But I think he's got a bigger mountain to climb there than some national people think. Some people thought, it's just a match made in heaven. He's going to, walk to the top of the division. What did you guys think of Sully in the 2 times we got to see the Rangers? And then also, just him coming back and the reception he got from the crowd.
First of all, I know a lot of people are being hard on Sully, down on the Rangers, just because they look like crap in the opener. They've given up 5 goals in 4 games, and 2 of those were empty netters. So I would keep that in mind. They haven't looked all bad. Vince Trocheck out of the lineup is going to hurt. They'll be fine. As for Sully, a lot of people have mentioned to me that he didn't smile during the ovation that he got and was very serious. And I talked to him afterwards, and it's because he was about to cry. He was really emotional, and that was kind of his way of dealing with that public. Some people don't want to cry in front of 18,000 people. I can understand that. It meant a lot to him. He never wanted to leave. It was probably time, but he's a good man, and I know that moment meant a lot to him, Joe.
Oh, you could tell he was just fighting back, losing it. And I love Sully so much. And I thought we welcomed him the old-fashioned way. We gave him exactly what he wanted, a shorthanded goal. I mean, he was so used to seeing it. It was literally perfect. Oh, that's your old power play, Sully. Are you happy you're in New York now? I mean, it was fantastic. I mean,
ironically, that was the hope play that he harped on so much. And it was Sid. It was Sid that actually did it.
I started my article. They paid tribute to Mike Sullivan. There were odd man rushes against and a shorthanded goal and horseshit goaltending. It was just a perfect night. It's everything he dealt with in the last few years.
It really was. You also said in that game, though, that there was that Rusty did get tripped. And it's funny how Rusty looked up and was like, what? And that was really the hallmark of the Sullivan era. Because remember, when we had Barzini, Sid and Gino complained like soccer players
just
after a call. And then Sully came in and that was it. And that was one of the main things of the turnaround. Yeah, I was happy for Sully. I think the Rangers are going to be very, very good this year. I think you can't draw from one game. Now, I know Buffalo's playing the New York JV, but then they came in, they took care of business. And like I said, to lose 1-0, I mean, Charlie Lindgren stood on his head. Panarin was going off last night. He just couldn't beat Lindgren, which shocked me. I can't believe Chuck will play good 2 years in a row. But Igor's a badass. He makes up for a lot of mistakes. I don't like him personally, but he makes up for a lot
he does.
of mistakes.
And when you look at Sully, that's the one thing he hasn't had in the last 7 years. He hasn't had the goaltending. When you give a head coach a really good goaltender, or in the case of Shesterkin, a guy who's a Hall of Fame talent, makes you a better coach. It changes what you can do. So, the Rangers laid an egg in the opener for sure. And I still don't think their lineup's all that deep. I don't love their roster. I don't like them as much as you do, but I think it would be premature just to write them off. Mike Sullivan knows what he's doing.
Well, I do like Will Cooley. I liked him for a couple years. He's looked really good this year. Yeah, I mean he's just missing a lot of shots, but he's in the right spots. He's got a couple goals, but I think he's a big body. I really like Will Cooley. I think Sully's getting the best out of him, and I think Lafreniere looks like he's flying.
Just because he never became a superstar when you're the first overall pick, that's doesn't mean he's not really, really good. He's a great player, and he plays with such of an edge too. I love his game. I really do. And speaking of coaches in the Rangers, I should bring this up. In the press box during the game, sometimes I like to share my little press box conversations. And I saw our personal friend Vince Trocheck up in the press box. He's out, I think, a week or two. He's a little banged up. And we were just chatting away for a few minutes. Then he looked at me and he says, "Dan Muse is great, right?" I said, "Yeah, you liked him, right?" And Vince went off for 5 minutes about how he's the greatest guy ever and one of the best coaches he's ever had. So the more and more I talk with people about Dan Muse, they keep telling me he's under the radar, he's not some big name, but he is a great hockey coach. You're going to like him. So The reports and reviews on Dan Muse just keep coming in positive from everybody who's played for him.
Well, to me, that makes the first 2 games of the season make a lot more sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like the new coach bump. Like, whenever a new coach comes in, there's always like,
Yep.
we're going to play for this guy, and then some of the warts start to come out. But everything I've seen so far, I like. I mean, if he can get Erik Karlsson to play like that, then I'll take. Send him to the Hall of
That's
Fame
right.
right now.
Josh, this may be a difficult question. It may be too early to answer. But what would you think is the percentage of Dubas to Muse roster-wise?
Oh boy. The easy answer is to say that they work together. I have to assume Kyle has a pretty big say in who they kept and who they didn't, though.
So Koivunen is a
Probably.
Kyle move.
I think, and Kyle traded for Koivunen. He likes him. But
No. I'm just wondering, like, what, why, like, if it is, I mean, because right now Muse is batting 1,000 for me. If I see Achari on the 3rd line and Hayes on the 4th line, he'll be a Pittsburgh Pirate batting.
yeah, I mean that's.
And I would want to blame Dubas, I wouldn't want to,
No,
So that's all.
no,
I'm
it's
just
a
kind of
really
wondering
good question, and it's hard to get a feel for it. Like when it was Mike Sullivan here, I really had the sense that Dubas deferred to him a lot, and
exactly.
I just have to feel, not necessarily based on what I've been told, but this is the guy Dubas hired. I think Dubas has more power than ever, and I think he's probably calling the shots on most of those decisions. Not to say he doesn't listen to what Dan Muse has to say. Of course he does. But I think what you're seeing now is more a team in Dubas's vision, and you'll probably continue to see that as the season goes on.
Yeah. Now the game's coming ahead. We got the Duckies tomorrow night. I mean, it's early on. It's hard to tell. You got the Duckies, they're 1-1. The Kings 1-2 actually, and then the Sharks, with a hilarious 0-2. And poor Alex Nedeljkovic. Man, what a blunder in overtime. If you didn't see it, you can go just search him online. He came out to play the puck in overtime and played it right into a shin guard, and
That's
that.
not the whole story. I mean, it was more than that. Yeah.
Well, the real killer in that game was Eklund. Eklund had 2 chances at the empty net.
Yep.
And missed them both. And then Ned let in
From
a
the red
bouncer
line.
from the blue line.
Jack Eichel was just going to the bench for a change. He just dumped it in and it went in. No,
I didn't even see that one.
Ned,
oh my God.
Ned is a man of integrity, by the way. And I mean that sincerely. He is. And if I didn't know that, I would have thought that he had some serious cash on the money line in the other direction, because I've never seen a hockey game at the NHL level, especially. Like they had like 2 tap-ins for an empty net. First of all, it didn't go. You give up a dump in from the red line, and then what happened in overtime, which I'm sure most people have seen by now. That was one of the most bizarre endings to a hockey game I've ever seen.
I thought he wants to be in the lottery more than Corey.
Maybe. Could you imagine McKenna with Celebrini? I mean, hey, if you can't get out of the basement with those
What
two.
you call the Buffalo Sabres show? Was it the New York JV team? Yeah,
the New York JV, and I love Lindy Ruff too. It pains.
We've got Columbus. We've got Columbus Day matinee
Ruff.
action. I see Colorado just took care of business in Buffalo, so they're 0-3 now. That's about right, man.
That was my puck off pick. Now I'm back to 50-50. I said take the Avalanche over the Swords, and then matinee. Get it in early.
Nathan McKinnon with a couple of goals took care of business for you. So there you go.
The Avalanche just look
do.
ridiculous. That's why they destroyed the Kings and everybody got down on the Kings. But the Kings will be there. I think we're going to have a tougher game against the Duckies, to be honest with you. Those guys can fly, and if we have a little West Coast hangover, or just a little, nice day at the beach, and we seem to never play good against the Duckies.
Well, they're always high-scoring games in Anaheim, it feels like, and just basing that on my memory bank and no statistical research, but I like Anaheim's forwards a lot. Like, they've got a lot of talent. The Penguins better be a heck of a lot better in their own zone than they were the other night, or they're going to have a problem. I also don't like Anaheim's blue line that much. I still think that's what's holding them back a little bit. It's always a fun game on the pond, though. I'm actually really looking forward to this whole trip just to see. We keep talking about who are the real Penguins, and we won't know for a little while. But I think we'll probably know a lot more a week from now than we know right now.
Absolutely, and it's funny because the Kings are my mistress, and Quentin Byfield living up
Yeah.
to all the hype. Not finally. He had a great year last year. The final couple games, he had some gaffes, which young kids will. But him and Clark, because Clark is why we still have Raquel, because the Kings wouldn't give us Clark. Because I love Brent Clark. He is incredible. Him and Brudnicki would be with us for 10 years. Long story short, though, the big concern around Kingsland is the defensemen they acquired are old and slow, and they're not moving the puck good enough. Well, who are they? Oh, they're alumni Brian Dumoulin, who I will never say a bad word about, and they're our buddy Cody Ceci.
Sounds about. I saw they had a particularly terrible night the other night, so there you go.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Oh,
we
we
love
do.
you, Dumo.
He's a good man.
Dumo.
Yes,
We do. Yeah.
I thought he'd still be here.
I thought he was the next captain.
Dumo?
I really did. I early on, I thought he was going to be the guy.
Dumo was never the
Sid.
same after he got hurt in St. Louis. It was.
I remember him skidding in the wall. I was like,
Thanksgiving
oh my
weekend,
God.
right
this
before
is not
COVID,
good.
2019. He tore up his ankle. He was never the same guy. And to
It was a cheap little tug. It was a cheap little poke.
yeah, I mean, to his credit, he still had a very good long career. But people, if you know your Penguins history, you know they might not have won those cups in 16 and 17 without Brian Dumoulin. That's how good he was. Oh yeah,
100%.
1,000%. It's the best Letang ever looked.
That's not coincidence. No.
No. Letang in the 16 cup was
he could have won the Conn Smythe, and I wouldn't have had a problem with it. He was that good. And Dumoulin was young then. He was like 23 years old, but his steadying presence with Letang, and that cup run, yeah, it was a really big deal. Yeah,
that was, yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens this week. We got a little bit of time here before you got to run to practice, but I do want to talk about some football. And before we we'll dig deep into the Steelers, but the big news is James Franklin actually gone. I mean, what a fall from grace. Third, number 3 in the country, national championship hopes. This is the year in Penn State. And within 15 days, he's fired. They're out of the top 25, and they lost to Northwestern, and they got bullied. I don't know if you guys watched that game. They got bullied by Northwestern, just ran down their throats.
That's what all the guys on TV and McShay were saying. They got bullied around. I didn't watch the game. There's about 15 other games more exciting and more important. It's like he never was. It's so funny. Who's the guy in Alabama? The guy in Indiana in 1 month has more wins against top 5 teams than James Franklin has.
That game was great.
That team's legit, by the way. That Indiana team's pretty good.
They are, and the Alabama game was insane. There's so many great games. I don't know why they gave him that big check in the first place. It sucks for all of us who pay taxes to anything in Pennsylvania that we are still paying it. When he would walk out holding the arms of his players, like, has any good coach ever done that? Has any good coach ever? I mean, are we in high school? I mean, what is going on? It always looked weak. He's weak. And for $60 million, they shouldn't have fired him. They should make him go dig ditches. Or they should make him work at the Penn State horse stables and shovel shit for the next 6 years. Just not coach the football team. That's way too much money.
Ultimately,
to give him to go
his
away.
legacy will be that of a guy who clearly could recruit. Really, really good recruiter, because they always have talent. He just can't coach. Like that's it. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's that simple. And I actually feel for the quarterback who, Drew Allar, like preseason, like top 5 pick in the draft probably. And now he's out for the year. I don't know exactly. Is it an ankle injury? I think. Whatever. I mean, he's out for the year. He played really poorly. He didn't look right. I don't know if he was being coached poorly, if he's just not as good as people think. You can see the arm talent when he played. I mean, the kid's got a lot of talent, but he just went from being a first-round pick to being who knows what, unless he gets a medical year of eligibility. I don't know how that will work. But Franklin always came across as a guy who had a very high opinion of himself. Most college football coaches do come across that way. If you want to back it up, that's fine. But he never really did. And his record against top 10 teams, like, I'm sorry, I understand you're playing with the big boys with Ohio State, Michigan, whatever. You got to beat them every once in a while. I'm sorry. Every now and then you have to. He never, ever did, and he had the talent to do it. That's on him.
They chose him. They chose him to give him all the money, and it's just a mistake. They're Penn State. They're not Alabama. I mean, first of all, he chose the quarterback. The quarterback went to Missouri. That kid almost beat Alabama. That kid looks really good. And that's at Missouri, But Penn State just needs to stay in their lane. Really, They're not Ohio State. When the Big Ten was 12 teams, they were they were between 3 and 6. They're like Michigan State. Now they might not even be Indiana, but now they got to compete against USC, Oregon, Washington. It's like they should they should be happy. They should be happy 10-3 and get a guy that can get them there and not waste $60 million.
I know what you mean, Joe, but they do have the talent to match almost any big team in the country. Look at the draft every year. This guy knew how to recruit. They had an enormous amount of talent there. He just got out-coached constantly, time and time again. And listen, there's no shame in losing to Oregon in overtime. But I really think the UCLA game clearly finished him. And I only saw a little bit of the game on Saturday against Northwestern. That was a team that had given up on its coach. It was very clear. I don't know that they had much choice, albeit a very expensive one.
He blamed the travel when he lost to UCLA. I mean, you talk about someone who's not accountable.
Right after Oregon flew to Happy Valley the week earlier and beat you, hey, come on.
Yeah,
that's so
come
weak.
on, give me a break. He's got the biggest, one of the biggest egos in college football, and I'm not saying this. I mean, everybody knows where my fandom lies, but as a Pitt alum, they should. Like you said, Joe, stay in their lane. They should reignite the Pitt-Penn State rivalry because they own it. They're going to dominate. You're going to win a vast majority of the games. Why wouldn't you want to do that on your schedule? Have a quality early season win against your in-state rival that you could kick around. I don't know why they avoid it so much. It's weird.
And I'm fascinated to see who replaces James Franklin. I know Terry Smith's the interim coach. I don't think that's the long-term answer. I mean, it will be a job a lot of people are going to want. I'm very interested to see who they go with and who become the candidates.
They need to lower expectations a smidge though, because Michigan went out to USC and got hammered. When USC wakes up,
that's a problem.
Then everybody's going to move down a notch in the Big Ten,
except
for Ohio State and Michigan every 3 or 4 years. It's like there's big boys now in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be Ohio State, then Michigan for the most part. Out east, you're going to have Oregon, USC. I like that coach out at USC. I mean, speaking of coaching, Jesus Christ, Michigan's they got a good recruiter, but I think he's going to be gone very soon.
The coach makes all the difference, guys. I still think. I don't think Penn State's some second-rate team or school. I really don't. I look at the talent on that team right now. I just think the guy's a terrible coach. I think he was one of the most overrated coaches in football for a long time in college football. If you get the right coach there, they can win. They can be competitive with the big guys, I think. But his record against the big schools was astonishingly bad. Even if you don't think Penn State's top tier or whatever, you should still on occasion beat one of those teams. He never did.
Well, that's what's ridiculous. It literally is what I would say, and I'm guessing, it was probably 4-60 against good teams.
God, yeah.
In his last 10. Yeah, it was literally like that. See, that's what I mean. I'm not saying that they're I just don't think they're ever going to be what they were with Paterno, one of the top 5 or 6 schools that always has a chance to win the national. I just think they're a cut below the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Michigan. Even Michigan's not there, but they have a better chance. There's like 5 schools that are always going to have a chance, and then USC if they ever wake up. And after that, there's another group of like 10, 15, because I love college football. So it's like,
that's
they're
fair.
in that mix.
Yeah, you're right. If USC ever becomes USC again, that changes things in the Big Ten. It really does. I mean,
well, the thing that they don't understand, that Michigan has Larry Ellison's wife, who's going to just open checkbook and spend all the money. I mean, that's why Sharon Moore will be gone. Like, if he doesn't win out the regular season, he's the richest guy in the world. And even if he divorces his wife, I think the settlement on his last divorce was over $1 billion. And this is a woman who said that she was sick, that she paid for Bryce Underwood. And she said, I'm sick of waking up with Michigan not being the best college football team in the country. So, whoever they need to sign, they'll sign. And I'm sorry, Penn State, but like, they don't have that backing, unless Terry Pagula is going to open up the checkbook.
Well, the thing with Michigan though is those kids actually some of them actually go to school.
Yeah,
and that's the difference between Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah,
and a few of the other schools. Like that's Michigan's biggest problem.
They make the academics important.
Yeah, that could be dangerous if you're trying to win games.
I mean, it's easier to go to Ohio State than it is to go basically anywhere else.
They call that community college up in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
But anyways, now the Steelers, real quick. I tell you what, the more this team drags along, the more I like this team. I don't think they are quite to the point that they're world beaters. The offense at times yesterday against the Browns looked pedestrian, but then at times, they didn't look like they were going to blow anybody out, but they were getting the job done. And then all of a sudden you see the plans start to come together, and you see some deep throws from Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know, like I'm way more optimistic about them than I was at any point this offseason.
Joe, I thought yesterday was just a very professional performance from the Steelers. I thought I give Tomlin a lot of shit, but I thought he coached a good game. I thought the plan was good. There was never a concern for 1 second that they were going to lose that game. I just felt like they were very much in control, and I keep going back to Rodgers, who maybe physically isn't what he once was, but he still makes 3 or 4 throws a game that are just jaw-dropping. Like, he still has that ability, and he is so damn smart. Like, just the way he can read a defense, some of the throws he made, he knew where he was going before the ball was snapped. That's the advantage of having a veteran quarterback. I like their trajectory right now.
That is the absolute key, Josh. Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. No knock on Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, but, that game is not the same. If anything, it's because of the plays being called. Rodgers made 3 or 4 plays that only guys in the Hall of Fame can make, and it was incredible. Even just the first play of the game. How beautiful was that to Mount Washington? Do you think they would have done that with Rudolph? It would have been 1 yard up the middle, right. 2nd and 9. And that's the way it would have been. And it was just brilliant. And I love Mount Washington getting way more involved. I like the kid from Washington. I like the kid from Miami, the tight end we got. I like him. Muth was always overrated, in my opinion. I think it really comes down to we're going to win the division, but to beat anybody good, they're going to have to get a receiver.
I think so too. No, I agree with you. The throw Rodgers made to Connor Hayward, not many people in the world could make that throw. That's a Hall of Fame throw. He still has that ability, but I tend to agree with you. Even though the defense, I think after a slow start to the season, they finally look like the way we expect them to look. So that's big. Special teams are fine. They're starting to run the ball a little bit, not well enough, but it's getting better. Offensive line, the offensive line was better. But you watch them play. Like, DK Metcalf is the only receiver they really have right now. Let's be honest. They need another. Doesn't have to be a star, but somebody reliable that can give you 5 catches for 50 yards and make a couple of plays on 3rd down, something like that Rodgers can work with. And I don't have any sources in the Steelers world, but you certainly hear enough buzz that they might actually go out and get someone. We see a lot more trades in the NFL than there used to be. I think they need to get somebody to help him out.
Well, I want to give credit to the offensive line because they ran the ball really well. They ran the ball well, and there wasn't like, oh, the whole team got injured and everyone's on it. I know that was the real Cleveland Browns defense that people were afraid of, and they ran the ball right up their butt. So I thought it was an overall great performance by the Steelers. I don't think there's anything bad you can say about that performance. I just think the Browns are the Browns, and I want to see them do that against, an offensive gene, like a Kansas City or a team that has weapons. Because the other thing, Josh, that scares me is I don't know who the Browns' defensive backs are. I think if you double team with like an all-world defensive back, I love Metcalf, but I'm sure he can be slowed down or stopped.
Yeah.
Then
I
what
love
do
him
we
too.
got?
He's not Jerry Rice. I mean, he's a really good player. But they just need another weapon. I think that's so obvious. And credit to the coaching staff too, and to Broderick Jones, a little bit of both. Myles Garrett was invisible all game, and I realized they were helping out with Mount Washington some. But even when Broderick had him one-on-one, he held up pretty nicely against a great player. Like that was impressive. And I like the direction the Steelers are moving in. Thursday night games on the road are a bitch, and Joe Flacco has certainly been an issue for the Steelers at times over the years, but I still think it's a real opportunity against a banged up Bengals team to go 5-1. If they're 5-1 and the Ravens are 1-5, like I understand Lamar's going to get healthy and the Ravens have a really soft schedule the rest of the way. I don't think they're making up 4 games on them though. I think the Steelers are in pretty good shape.
No. Yeah, in the offensive line, I mean, Broderick, hats off to him, but even that one throw, the one touchdown throw, it was a clean pocket. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of nice, clean, spacious pockets to throw the ball, and that was a big difference. So, but anyways, that'll do it for us on the Two for Talking podcast. We appreciate all of you, and follow us on YouTube. Subscribe, please. There, that helps the channel, and we will talk to you later.